Historically, the yin and the yang concept has been everywhere in many different cultures, if not all of them, in different points of time and space. Of course, it's mainly known through the Chinese mythology and history and Chinese medicine, through the classical representation of the yin and the yang, but also in many other cultures in a much less known way, such as the Shiva and Shakti in the Hindu culture, which also relates to Tantra energies and Kundalini energies, and even the Kama Sutra and many other things, but also through the Mayan culture, for instance, when it comes to the Ometeotl, a beautiful symbol of this infinite yin feminine energy and yang masculine energy. Welcome to Atom to Cosmos. So today in this video we're going to explore this magical yet very rational, pragmatic connection between the yin and the yang, the feminine and the masculine. So as I was saying in another video about the 2D and 3D perception of the world, I was taking the example of the yin and the yang. And we talked about the idea that, like as many other things, as we perceive everything 3D, but yet there is a kind of 2D metaphor approach to it because we don't put any depth in anything we do or any relationship. Of course we do, or maybe we do because you here, so we can share more openly. I don't know if you guys have seen or do you know much about the crop circles, but basically there was this wonderful documentary called Thrive. But at the time it was not very well known, and this guy had emitted the idea that, well, actually the crop circles were a 2D representation of shapes in motion in 3D or more. If you want to know more about this concept, you can have a look at my other video. But basically, we can do the same with the yin and yang. Imagine like as a 2D plane, and basically we give it a shape, we put it like as a sphere, and then it would go around together. And these energies are always together. The problem we have in this society is like we always go into extremes. Because somehow, whether we like it or not, the human experience is inherently, inexorably dualistic. Duality is completely part of this process and something we shouldn't fight against, something we should maybe try to understand, to introspect and integrate in order to move on with in a smoother way, let's say. And yet sometimes these extremes are very important in order to find the middle point. But like we don't want to dwell in extremes too much. Well, because basically otherwise we generate imbalances in the long run, and these imbalances they can manifest into sicknesses or into addictions, or even worse somehow. We tend to forget that basically light cannot exist without darkness, and darkness cannot exist without the light. They're part of each other, they're proportional to each other. So it feels like we always do these type of separations. We know that the black part of the symbol of the yin and yang in any cultures somehow is the feminine energy. And in this approach of spirit and science, we know that it connects with the right part hemisphere of the brain, which is all about creativity, art, and also letting go and more the emotional level of feeling, being vulnerable, being sensitive, versus the yang, the white part of it, the masculine energy, which is the left part of the brain, the productive part, the action part. the passion as well. We need this yang and masculine energy. We need both energy. And the problem is like we shift from one to the other all the time. And we tend to forget that, again, through this symbol, there is inherently this part of yin feminine energy into the masculine energy, and this part of yang energy as part of this infinite feminine energy. What's interesting as well is like when it comes to the two hemispheres of the brain, they sync each other, they connect with each other, they balance each other out. The left part of the brain, the masculine part of the brain, connects with beta brain waves, which is the state in which we are kind of all the time, mainly during the day, which allows us to be productive and active. And the right part of the brain, the feminine creative part, artistic part, sensitive part, connects with alpha brain waves, which is some kind of meditative state of mind. So we have 4 types of brain waves, beta, alpha, theta, and delta. We can do a video about that if you're interested at some point, let me know. But again, they're both complementary. And by going into extremes all the time, especially through this allegory and metaphor of the yin and yang symbol, well, we never really stay in the middle. And this is where lies all the answers we're looking for, especially when it comes to existence. The yin and yang is part of any one of us, of each and every one of us, regardless of the sexual gender. And this is one of the massive problems we have in this world. We cannot accept that. We're always into this extreme of like, okay, you're a man, so you're masculine, you have this masculine energy, and you're a woman, and you shouldn't do that, and you should do that. And both men and women, they don't know where they are. And then we have machismo, which is terrible and imbalance in itself. And yes, we live in a young-oriented, ego-oriented society, money-oriented society. And then we have feminism that just fuels even more the fire and the separation instead of generating unity. So I feel like in this yin and yang process that we should definitely try at least to find the middle way. And the middle way in this case would be to humanism, to be humanist and just to accept that both masculine and feminine divine are part of every single human being and as part of unity, because yes, the human experience is definitely dualistic and we need to accept that, to understand, to integrate that we can be both active and productive. We can also be creative and sensitive and embrace our empathy to feel each other. The prevailing economic structures of capitalism and corporatism epitomize the yang energy. These systems prioritize economic growth, competition, and productivity, valuing measurable outcomes and material success above all else. In a yang-dominated society, individualism and ego-driven pursuits are paramount. Personal achievements and status become the markers of success, leading to a culture of competition and comparison and judgment. The relentless pursuit of external validation fosters an environment where self-worth is measured by accolades and accomplishments, rather than intrinsic values and inner fulfillment. The drive for ambition can propel innovation and progress, but it also risks creating a society that values success over well-being and individuality over community. Materialism and consumerism are natural outgrowth of a yang-centric worldview. So what can we do in order to really embrace the yin and the yang, regardless of our sexual gender. It's not about separating, it's about uniting what's opposite seen from a different angle, as we talked of in the video about 2D and 3D. We understand what's the perception of the other person, and we understand that opposites are actually complementary and they are necessary to each other as much as science is necessary to spirituality and vice versa. The masculine energy, the yang energy is necessary to this world, not to the growth of this imbalanced society, but to our growth individually and collectively. And yes, we need to be active and productive and have passion in what we do. But we don't even define our passions anymore, because when we are teenagers, we have to choose for a career which is often 40 years and we don't even know what we want to do in life. So how can we actually define and embrace our own passions? We also need to embrace this feminine energy, to embrace this feminine divine through creativity, through art, through sensitivity, through empathy. Because empathy, as we're talking about the brain waves, is where we get into this kind of theta brain waves, where we can just open all the channels and just all the energy, all this information, this field, source of information. And we can call it God or the universe or the field or the absolute or anything you want, but it's the same thing. As much as spirit and science are the same thing, as much as the yin and the yang are the same thing. We don't want to go into extremes, like, okay, I'm going to embrace my yin energy through some kind of meditation daily, if it is like to run over all the place and never being present and conscious to the process. So this is where the yang, the masculine, is always part of the feminine, and the feminine is always part of the masculine, to create unity, to see it as a whole. Have you ever thought that basically you need the same colors, yet in different proportions, to do both the white and the black color? It's just seen from a different angle, not opposite, but complementary. When I've developed my techniques about reading the back in my combination of Western medicine and Eastern philosophies of physiotherapy, osteopathy, and Chinese medicine and energy work, which we can talk about in another time, I've noticed that there is always this imbalance in the yang, and it can even manifest through the body, through, I believe, in scoliosis, for instance. I've noticed that more than 80% of my patients have a scoliosis, and it's always in the dorsal area, and it always goes to the right, to the yang part of the body, because, sorry if I haven't mentioned it before, but like you know, and sorry if you already know, but the right brain is feminine, the left brain is masculine, through everything we've talked about, and the nerves, they cross in the neck. So basically, the right part of the body is masculine, and the left part of the body is feminine. And I've learned throughout my studies and research and practice somehow to read the back, because all the stress which is also manifested in the body also manifests through the trapeze muscle, or like in the scapular area. The further up we go in the back, basically it's imbalance, like our society as a mirror, as an image of this imbalanced society. And because we don't have the courage, or we don't believe that we can have the choice, and we do have the choice to change our lives, and this is the only way we can change the world, and not the other way around. As long as we don't change ourselves, as long as we don't embrace this perfect infinite balance, which is already inside us, as much as all the answers we're looking for, even if we do need some guidance at times in an inspiring mutual way, the only way we can change the world, instead of going with our ego and participating and like numbing our emotions and processes in the meantime, is to embrace these processes, both yin and yang, masculine and feminine, and to try hard and to give ourselves this time and space to reconnect with this balance point of the feminine and the masculine. Thank you so much for watching this video today. It'd be lovely if you can take a couple of minutes so you can like the video, comment, share something real, like I'm trying to be just authentic and real to you in this moment, in this content. I wish you all the best. I send you all my love, my gratefulness. Thank you very much. Namaste.